curses, hauntings, or items with a history. Not until I started working at Secondhand Chance. It's a secondhand store in a nowhere town in Illinois. You've probably driven past a dozen just like it. Mismatched furniture, old war novels, board games missing half the pieces. The kind of place that smells like expired air freshener and damp cardboard. I started working there 2 years ago. I was 24, broke, and not exactly drowning in job offers. They paid minimum wage and let me close the store alone after my first week. That should have been the first red flag. But when you're broke, red flags start looking like welcome signs. Every thrift store has one, a small table or shelf near the exit where we leave things that are too damaged, weird, or unwanted to sell. We called ours the free table. It was pushed up against the wall by the back exit. Just a couple milk crates stacked and a handwritten sign, "Take what you want, no returns." It started small, cracked mugs, orphaned Tupperware lids, bent hangers, but eventually people began donating specifically for it. They'd come in with boxes marked free section only. And the stuff inside, it got weirder. A cassette labeled "Don't play this backwards." A mirror with a single word scratched across the glass, "Offering." A bundle of newspaper clippings tied in dental floss, every article blacked out but one about a local man vanishing after claiming to see a figure in the trees. I thought it was just edgy garbage, people trying to be spooky. But then the items started vanishing. Not like people took them, I mean gone, without anyone near them. No camera footage, no doors opening, they'd just disappear. And that's when he started showing up. First sighting, I just closed up for the night around 9:10. I was outside by the dumpster when I felt something off. You know that primal sense when you're being watched? Like the air itself has changed temperature? I turned around. There, just past the flickering security light, was a man. He was tall, maybe 6'5", long black coat, wide-brimmed hat, too still, too perfectly upright. I called out. He didn't respond, didn't move. He just stood there, half obscured by the trees behind the store. I blinked, and he was gone. I figured it was nothing. A shadow. My imagination. But that night, something from the free table went missing. A rusted crucifix that hadn't moved in 6 months. I didn't put it together until later. Routine unraveling. Weeks passed. The man kept appearing, always just after closing, always silent. I started calling him the collector. At first, I thought he was a squatter or a junk picker, but every time I reviewed the footage, nothing. He never appeared on camera, not once. But the footage glitched the exact moment I saw him, always at the same time, 9:12 p.m., and the items kept disappearing. One night, it was a cracked porcelain doll with missing eyes. The next, a melted clock, hands spinning backwards. Then it got worse. The mannequin head, a woman dropped off a mannequin head, said it was from a failed beauty school. Bad energy, she laughed. I tossed it in the free section. Later that night, while taking inventory, I heard something fall. I walked out front. The mannequin head was on the ground, face down. I picked it up, and that's when I noticed the eyes were different, no longer blank. They had depth, color, iris, pupil, moisture, like someone's real eyes had been painted on. But they weren't random eyes. They were mine. I checked the cameras. They didn't catch the fall. But for 3 full seconds before the timestamp skipped, the mannequin was staring directly at the lens. Dreams begin. That night, I dreamed I was walking through the store. It was pitch black except for a small light at the free table. The items were stacked high, teetering like a trash sculpture, and on top of the pile sat the collector. He didn't move, didn't speak, but in the dream, I felt this pulling, like gravity but deeper, emotional. Ancient. He raised one finger and pointed behind me. I turned around. There was a mirror. I looked into it and saw myself, but my eyes were missing. Discovery in the break room. A week later, I went into the break room and found a manila envelope on the table. It wasn't there 5 minutes earlier. Inside, a printed photo of me at the register, timestamped before I started working there. A burned DVD labeled Subject 47B, and a folded page from a notebook. The page just said, "You are not the first, you are not the last, you are the current." I asked my boss if anyone else had been in the back. He shook his head. I showed him the photo. He looked pale and said, "That's from our 2011 system. That register's been gone a decade." right away. Even after I found the envelope in the break room, the photo, the DVD, the note, I kept coming back. It's strange what you can convince yourself of when you're isolated enough, how you start to gaslight your own brain. Maybe I put the photo there, maybe the DVD's a prank, maybe I'm just tired, but deep down, I knew something was watching us and it lived in the free section. The items started coming back, not to the store, to our homes. Marcy, our cashier, found that rusted crucifix hanging from her rearview mirror one morning. She swore she never took it. Josh, the floor manager, came into work pale and shaky, holding a photo. It showed his childhood bedroom, taken from outside the window. On the sill was that melted clock from the free table. The clock was still spinning backward. He told me, "I haven't lived in that house in 20 years. We started sharing stories, little things, scratches on the walls that matched old carvings from the table, dreams of mannequins rearranging themselves around our beds. One guy said he woke up with a VHS tape under his pillow. No label. When he played it, it was footage of himself, sleeping, filmed from the foot of the bed. I watched myself on camera. Then came the worst night. It was closing. I stayed late to restock shelves. I noticed the hallway light flickering, leading back to the security office. Thought it was a bulb issue. I opened the door to the surveillance room. All monitors were off. Everyone black. Then slowly, they started to blink on. But instead of the store layout, each screen showed a different angle of me, not from earlier. Live. One was above me, one behind me, one from the other side of the door I had just come through. Except I was alone. Then I noticed something. The me in the footage wasn't matching my movements anymore. They kept staring, unblinking. Every version of me on screen was frozen. And one by one, they smiled. The free table was gone. The next morning, I showed up and the free table wasn't there anymore. It wasn't moved. It had been removed. Like the space it took up had never existed. No sign, no items, no wall scuff where the crates used to be. I asked the boss. He just stared at me. "You're new, right?" he said. I'd been working there almost 2 years. That night I pulled the footage from the night before, went frame by frame. At 9:12 p.m. everything froze. Then, for exactly 6 seconds, a frame appeared. A still image of the collector. Standing in the middle of the store, arms outstretched like a scarecrow, face blurred, shifting like oil in water. Behind him, every item from the free table floating midair, and in the bottom corner of the frame, a timestamp from Hertesh, 1979. Digging for history. That broke me a little. I became obsessed. I started researching the building, found a name, Harper's General. It operated from 1903 to 1978. Burned down in 79 under unexplained circumstances. They rebuilt, different name, different structure, but same foundation. I went to the county records office. Half the files were missing. A clerk named Doris leaned in and said, "You're not the first one asking about that place." "Who else?" She hesitated, then said, "A woman last year. She worked there too, said the store kept showing up in her dreams like it was still there, but not for us, for someone else." "Where is she now?" Doris just said, "She stopped coming back." The missing shift. 2 weeks later, I covered an overnight inventory shift. I was alone. And around 2:30 a.m., the store changed. The lights dimmed to a dull yellow. The radio started picking up faint static, even when unplugged. And the aisles stretched. Literally. I'd walk from housewares to clothing, turn around, and the front of the store would be further away than before. Shelves doubled. Rows repeated. I found 5 identical chairs in different parts of the store, all tagged free. And I heard footsteps, not echoing. Close. I ducked behind the register and pulled up the security cams on my phone. Every screen showed myself walking through the aisles, calling my own name, but I was crouched under the desk, phone in hand, watching. Then one version of me turned and looked straight at the camera. He raised a finger to his lips. The recording that wasn't mine I left the next morning in silence. Didn't say goodbye, didn't clock out. That night I checked my phone and found a voice recording app I never downloaded. There was one file on it, titled Offering One. I hit play. It was me. Not recent, not a voice memo. It sounded like it was from an old cassette. Fuzzy, warped. "He takes what we give, he gives what we forget. All must balance, all must break." Then silence and breathing, and then my own voice whispering, "Take me." The collector knows my name. The final time I saw him, it wasn't behind the store. It was in my apartment. I came home from another shift I didn't remember working. My front door was open. Inside, every item from the free table had returned, perfectly arranged. The broken doll, the melted clock, the mannequin head, the photograph of the window, and in the center, a note, typed, courier font. Thank you for your service. You are no longer needed. I turned, he was in the corner of the room, face covered in static, coat darker than shadow, and he spoke. But the words didn't come from him. They came from my TV, my speakers, my phone. Even the radiator hummed his voice. You look too long, so you've been seen. You cataloged the sacred, so now you join them. I was never hired. I tried to quit. I called the store, disconnected. I drove there. Where the thrift store had stood was just an empty lot. Grass, dirt, some concrete slabs. A mailbox still remained, rusted and split. Inside, a manila envelope, no name. Inside, my original job application dated 1978, a photo of the free table burning, and one last receipt. Item, an employee 47B, price, status, final entry. If you're hearing this, remember, not everything labeled free comes without a price. Some stores don't sell objects, they collect people. And the collector, he doesn't want your money, he wants your record, your version, your memory of what you were before he rewrites you. Because the free section isn't a table, it's a threshold. And the moment you take from it, you've given yourself away.